What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a look at the stealth and costume system in Greedfall, the recently released RPG from Spiders. So, diving right into it, stealth and the costume system. They get a short, and I mean short, introduction in the kind of starter area, the kind of prologue to the rest of the game before you actually get to the island that you sail to. Now, I'm going to start off with Sneak. Sneak is pretty straightforward. You basically sneak. There is a button that will let you enter a stealth stance, and while you're doing this, as long as you're not directly in front of people you're trying to hide from, you'll be able to sneak past them completely unaware. So, that's pretty straightforward. The only thing I want to mention as far as the stealth system actually goes is that there aren't any talents or attributes or anything that actually increase stealth. There is, however, a single potion that I found called the Haze Potion that increases your stealthiness for a long duration. Basically, this just affects visibility, which is a stat in game, so I'm assuming there's some armor and things you can find that will actually affect visibility, as long as, like actual factors of like light and, not being directly in front of someone. So that's pretty much all there is to stealth. If you've ever played any game or you're familiar with the concept of stealth, I'm pretty sure you've figured out exactly how that system works. Now, the more interesting system I wanted to get into is the costume system. They've integrated it in a really cool way, in my opinion. So, of the 4 or 5 armor types, being hat, cape, torso, hands, and legs, the torso is assigned a faction, or not, based on the style of armor it is. Now, it can be a little difficult to see, but this little icon right next to the sell price of the item is actually its faction assignment. Now, this one is for the Knots, which are basically a seafaring people who run all the ships in the game. So, that's how you know whose faction the costume you're wearing belongs to. Now, keep in mind, this is just a regular armor piece, but it is also a costume at the same time. So you kind of get a double whammy there. You can wear a good armor piece that is simultaneously a costume of the faction you're in. So the Knots, being the seafaring people, you might have to sneak into one of the areas, which is what we're doing in this alley, actually. Right past here is an Knots-only area, which I know because there are guards at these doors over here, and if you approach them, it will actually tell you in the right corner that it's reserved for the Knots. I can't enter. I have to either look for another passage, or I can sneak. Now, the problem with sneaking here is that if I get seen, I lose reputation, and I get attacked. So the costume is always the safer option if you have it. Which brings me to my point that of the so far 4 factions in the game that I've found, you pretty much always want to have a costume for each one of those factions just to be on the safe side in case you need it. Right now I've only got 2, which is the Trade Congregation, which is this one, and the Knots. So we're going to show exactly what happens when we enter an area with a costume on, which is essentially nothing, because I think I'm one of them. Now I find one of the guys over here. He can't see me, or anything like that. Oh, I mean, he can see me, obviously. But I have the Knots costume on, so essentially, they don't care. Now, just to show you the difference, we're going to come over here. We're going to switch our torso piece to the Trade Congregation piece. And we immediately get a notice, by the way, when you do this, that the zone is in a controlled faction. You are not wearing the appropriate costume, which means you can either stealth or put the appropriate costume back on, that kind of thing. Now, if you get caught, it damages your reputation, and you also get attacked. So, when we enter sneak mode in this one, as you can see, nothing out of range here, but I did want to mention that there is a small alert system with that eye there. So yellow is they're investigating, red is they've seen us and now we're being attacked because we no longer have our Knot costume on, and they are well aware that we're not them. You can of course see the reputation chain there in the corner. So there you go, guys, just a really cool little system. They integrated it super well. Like, this works into the game all the time. you are regularly kind of like infiltrating stuff and sneaking around, and you can choose the direct option that's going to ruin your reputation, of course. That's totally an option. You can do that too. You can come in guns blazing, just not necessarily through the front door all the time. But I just think it's really cool the way they implemented this, so I wanted to share it with everybody. The last thing I want to mention before I let you guys go is that the stealth system applies everywhere. So obviously, monsters don't care about your costume. However, they do care about the sneaking. You can actually sneak by monsters in the wild in much the same way you can everything else, humans, whole nine yards, which seems self-explanatory. I just wanted to point out that despite there being like an in-game system in towns for how this works, stealth is totally usable out in the open, just kind of running around. So with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this look at the stealth and costume system in Greedfall. If this is your first video of mine, I certainly hope you subscribe and stick around, but have a great day either way.